from today is Media Day, which means a week from tomorrow they will have their first practice. And if you want to learn how to shoot the rock, then you need to watch Doug McDermott, because that is something he's always been able to do in his career. And he's nice enough to spend some time with us right here on Fox Sports Sacramento. Doug, it's Grant Neep here. How are you?
Grant, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. It's been good to be back in Sacktown. We've been getting a lot of work in these last couple of weeks, and we're all just so excited to get the season underway.
You know, I'm glad you talked about that, because you've been in a lot of different situations. How important is the a couple of weeks leading up to training camp to have everybody together in the gym together and playing?
It's huge. And I think Doug Christie's done a great job of getting us all here. We had a little mini camp in Los Angeles last month, and pretty much the whole team showed up. Obviously, Dennis has been busy with the Eurobasket stuff, but we pretty much had everyone in the gym getting ready for camp because, with Coach Christie coming in, I know he obviously filled in last year, interim coach, but he wants to put in a lot of his new stuff, and, he's got a whole new staff with him. So we've just been going over a lot of stuff that they want to put in and leading into camp, and it's been great to be around the young guys, and it's just been really good camaraderie here the last couple of weeks.
Doug McDermott, our guest here on Fox Sports Sacramento. This is your 8th team, so you've been in a lot of different situations. How important is it for a player to not only understand their role, but accept their role?
It's really important. That's a heck of a reminder, by the way. I didn't realize I was on 8 teams already, but
yeah.
It's very important. Obviously we have guys that are just coming into the league, and we have guys like me who've been around for 12 years and on a lot of different situations. And then obviously we have some guys that have, played a lot of basketball, and they have a lot of experience. And, I think when you're a team, everyone knows their role. Some nights guys might not play a lot. Some nights they might play a ton because there's an injury or someone has to fill in. And, that's just something I've learned along the way. You gotta attack each day like you're going to play. Because you never know what can happen in the NBA. And, you see guys all the time. They get thrown in a situation and they're not ready. And that's why I try to preach to the young guys, always stay ready, because you really never know when your opportunity's coming. You look at a guy like Keon Ellis, who was in the G League probably 2 years ago, and all of a sudden he's, a rotational player in the NBA and, playing awesome basketball. So things can change so fast in this league. And that's just something I try to preach to the young guys all the time.
Doug, the reason why I asked you that question is you understand your role and you accept your role. When Doug needs you, you're going to be ready to go. And it doesn't matter whether you've been sitting there for 2 games or 3 games or in a particular game for, 43 minutes and there's 5 minutes, whatever the case may be, you're going to be ready. But you also accept your role and how important your role is in the locker room and off the court. And you don't have any problem with that, do you? You like helping out the younger players. You like being there for everyone. You're a glue guy, right? That's what you are. You're a glue guy in the locker room.
Exactly. I've kind of transitioned to that part of my career here. And, I think last year was awesome for me, being around guys like Alex Len, Jordan McLaughlin, guys that were, we were going in at the end of the games, even if it's garbage time and we're up 30 or hopefully not down 30. But, we're in situations like that where, you're not used to. I mean, you're used to doing that as a rookie, but it's something I embraced last year. And I think by taking the most out of those opportunities, regardless if it's 2 minutes or 4 minutes, people are always watching, and, the coaches are always watching. And, it's something I'm still able to do is shoot the ball. So, like, if Coach Christie ever needs me to come in and, let a couple rip, I'm always going to be ready. And that's just a role that I've embraced in my short time here. And I look forward to another season of it.
People know your background, that you played for your dad at Creighton. So basketball has been in your family really probably ever since you were old enough to remember. And as you look at the latter part of your career, is coaching something that you see yourself doing once your career is over?
I've started to think about that. I definitely want to be around the game. I think even a scouting role to start would be awesome, just because the grind of 12 to however many seasons I'm going to play it's a lot. And sometimes you just need a little bit of a mental break for a few years. But I kind of joked with my dad, I was like, I would coach if I could put you through the same drills you put us through. I want to see you get on the end line and run wind sprints for hours. So maybe someday I can pay him enough to get him and his staff to go through a practice with some of our players coaching them. But
Well,
yeah, it's something that definitely interests me. But I just don't know when that's going to come.
I've never met your dad, but I would give him a big pat on the back because I think he did pretty well with you. You know, 3 consensus first team All-American, 3 times in the National College Player of the Year. So from where I sit, again, I haven't met your dad, but I wouldn't say that he did anything wrong, okay?
No, he did good, and you did good with your son too. I mean, he beats me on the golf course every day I play with him. But
I'm sorry to hear that. Can you get him a haircut for me? Is that something we can work out?
Yeah, that's something we can get done. I think maybe I'll say something to him later.
How many rounds of golf do you play in the off season? You love to golf, and I've heard through the grapevine that you are really, really good. So do you play as much as you can?
I do in the off season, and once the season starts, it's obviously harder. But with the good weather we have in Sac, whenever we get a chance on an off day, like a lot of guys on the team now are starting to really like to play. Malik is getting really good at golf, and Zach is a huge golfer. Keegan loves to play, and then we got some staff that love to play too. Bobby
That's
Jackson,
awesome.
I think, is like a 3 or 4 handicap. So it's something we always talking about. We're watching YouTube videos on the planes, just trying to fix our swings, and it's been great. It's good camaraderie, and we got great spots, in Sac to play. Granite Bay has been awesome to us, and a lot of those courses out in the suburbs have been amazing places to go to and kind of just escape, when you need a little mental break during the season.
All right, so I've got a story for you. Bobby Jackson, I watched him at Granite Bay on the driving range, the first time he ever tried to play golf, and he actually missed the ball on many times. All right, like literally he would swing and miss. I'm like, Bobby, it's not baseball. All right, let's go. We got to hit the freaking ball here. But now, and he got addicted to the game and could not put the clubs down. Wherever we were, Bobby Jackson had golf clubs with him. And as you said, look at him. Now he's a hell of a golfer.
Yeah, he is. And I haven't played with him yet, but Malik's trending in that direction where he's getting really good. I mean, I've played with him when he kind of was just starting, and now played with him like a week ago, and he beat me. So we got some friendly wagers this year, and it's just a great way, like I said, to get away from the game when we need it and just still stay competitive.
All right, who would be the Kings Ryder Cup squad, best to worst? But you got to field the squad. So rank them for me. Let's go.
I mean, I'm taking myself number 1, and then I would say I would go Keegan. Keegan's supposed to be really. I haven't played with Keegan a ton, but Malik at Granite Bay, I would take Malik all day. I haven't. Zach's probably the most. He's probably got the most upside because he hits the crap out of the ball. You just don't know what direction it's going. And then we got some staff guys, some trainers. Joel in the training room, our head trainer, he's really good. But that's a great question. I'm gonna have to come back with you and give the power rankings. So that might be another convo once we get into the season.
I can't wait for this weekend. I grew up 5 miles from Bethpage State Park on Long Island, and I just can't wait to watch the Ryder Cup. And by the way, tomorrow I'm going to have Steve Sands on, one of the lead commentators on NBC Sports and the Golf Channel, to preview the Ryder Cup. Will you be glued to your TV for that?
Yes, I will. I heard you say that's coming up this week, and definitely be tuned in for that. And I mean, as much as I can, I'll be watching that Ryder Cup. I think it's one of the best sporting events there is. Just the competitive standpoint and just our country. And obviously Keegan Bradley being the captain's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Captain America. I think it's going to be just a special Ryder Cup, especially like you said in New York. It's not right now with the Giants and Jets. New York needs something. So
please don't ruin my week already. I mean, it was hard enough watching the Giants prevent offense again last night. So let me enjoy my Monday, would you please?
Exactly. I won't kill you too much. I've already talked to your son about this.
Oh my gosh.
I'm from the Midwest, so I mean, the closest team to me was the Vikings. So I feel good about us. Obviously the quarterback. We need JJ to get healthy, and get on page. And then obviously Kevin O'Connell, I just love him as a
Great
coach.
coach.
Really, really enjoy watching him coach. And obviously, Vikings, I would say, are my team, but I've kind of met a lot of 49ers fans out here, and especially in the building at the Kings facility. So I kind of pull for them too.
Take me back to Creighton and playing for your dad. Like, are there any negatives about playing for your dad? Is it, are there some obstacles that you have to overcome? I mean, after all, he's your father.
Yeah, it's a little different. Obviously, at first, when you're coming as a young kid and there's seniors on the team and they're like, "Oh, this is that's just the coach's kid," it was a little bit of a tough hurdle to get over at first. And I had a lot of good conversations actually with Tony Bennett, who
Mm.
played for his dad at Green Bay, Dick Bennett. And he really helped me. Like whenever your dad is tough on you or the other guys, if it's a hard practice, just maybe take your time going to the locker room. Like let everyone filter out of there because let them talk crap about your dad for a little bit before you join. And it was the best 4 years though. I mean, at first, like I said, it was tough, but once I became one of the best player on the team, it really helped kind of get over all that. Is he playing just because his dad's the coach? That's where it could be a little awkward, I think. But it worked out really well for us, and obviously, it's a perk when you're in college and you can send your laundry home with your dad, so your mom can do it, and
Yeah, that's a good point.
get some groceries sent your way. That was the best part about it, just having the family close and just knowing at the end of the day he has his best interest for you and all the other guys. And it can be tough love at times, but it was such a good 4 years, and wouldn't have had it any other way.
At the beginning of this interview, you talked about talking to the young players and giving them advice. Was there one player in particular, whether it was with Chicago or Oklahoma City, wherever the stops may have been, that you look back on and said that one person had the biggest impact on my career?
I would say early on in Chicago, it was kind of a combination of Joakim Noah, Mike Dunleavy, and Kirk Heinrich.
Mm.
Those guys really took me under their wing. Obviously playing for Tibbs as a rookie is really tough. You're not going to play a ton and it's going to be demanding. And, looking back, playing for Tibbs was one of the best things that happened to me, because it taught me discipline and, being on time, being a pro. And I always thank him every time I see him. But, Joakim and Kirk and Mike, who's obviously the GM for the Warriors, they were just so good to me. Just taught me how to be a pro, took me under their wing, took me out to dinner all the time and just told me just like the ways. And that's what I'm trying to do with Neek and Max and all these guys, all these young guys on our team. Just trying to, build a relationship and just show them how to be a professional. And, that's a good thing about the Kings and Scott. He's brought in a lot of high character guys. So, they need guidance, but they're very mature kids. So like, I'm not going to have us leaders and us older guys. We're not going to have many issues with them just because they're such high character guys.
And they're older, which I love. And I know you've experienced this because I did when I was in the league. And younger players come in, some with a sense of entitlement, and it really sets them back. And when I look at Nate Clifford and I look at Max Reynaud and I talk to the people that have been around them, there is no entitlement. And you got to have the work ethic. But I think their minds are in the right place. As you said, they're good people. They come from good backgrounds. And their work ethic. And I love that. I love the fact, Doug, that they're older. I'm not into, the teenagers coming into the league as much. It takes too long to really get up to speed in most occasions. Are there exceptions? Yeah. LeBron James is a pretty good example of that.
Yeah.
But I love that they're mature. You use that term. That to me is a real asset.
It really is. And, they come from really good programs. You can tell they've been really well coached. And, even playing pickup with them today in the gym, like, they're so mature, they just look developed and like there's obviously gonna be some growing pains with every rookie. But you could throw them in and they'd have impact. So it's they did a great job with the draft. These kids are so high character, they're asking questions. There's no ego. They're not on their phones all day. It's just, there's mature guys because they stayed in college a little longer than most rookies coming in. And, Devin's had a great summer as well. Devin Carter and IJ, they look great, and they were all obviously on the same summer league team, so they got a little bond. And it's a great time, to be a Kings fan with the young up and coming guys we have on our roster.
We're talking with Doug McDermott here on Fox Sports Sacramento. Has your mindset changed as you enter another training camp over the last couple of years? Because now that you're older, in the way you approach training camp?
Yeah, I mean, every year is different. Obviously, your role is a little different, and like we've talked about, it's more so, just being another outlet for these guys. Obviously, you can coach them as hard as you want, but they want good feedback from their teammates too, and that's something I need to do a good job of, and not stay out of the way in certain situations, but just step in if they need anything, and obviously, Coach Christie and his staff are doing a great job, and I think just the mindset is, this is a big year for us. This is Doug's first year as a full-time head coach, and we don't want to let him down. He put so much work into it, and he holds us all accountable, and we want to go to war for him.
And the other thing that is so important, and you don't have the history of this because you haven't been with the team that long, but it's very puzzling to the fans, their home record, because you have such great support at Golden One Center. But over the last several years, the Kings have actually been better on the road than at home. That needs to change. You've got to make Golden One a home court advantage. It's very puzzling to the fans, Doug.
I know, and I didn't really realize that till I got here. And, just the fan support is unbelievable. As a road player, you obviously see it. But when you're on the Kings, you really feel it. And that's something, we need to do a better job of, is protecting home court. These people put in so much work to come to our games and stay the whole game to see the beam lighting. And that's something we need to take pride in because, it's a tough place to play. I mean, obviously it's one of the better arenas in the NBA, and we have some of the best fans in the NBA just because they're so passionate and loyal. Regardless of what our record is, they're showing up every night. So that's something, Doug's going to preach to us. He obviously put on the jersey for the Kings for a long time, and Bobby and, everyone in the organization who's been here a while knows that how big of a home court advantage this really can be. And we need to get back to that and make that a part of our identity this year.
Awesome stuff. Doug, I really appreciate you coming on the show. Hopefully we can do it again in the future, and I wish you the best. Have a great camp.
All right, anytime. It's good talking to you as always.
Thank you, Doug. Appreciate it. Doug McDermott joining us